Hi, my name is Jack. I'm a black belt teaching at BJJ in Bangkok. This is George, one of the coaches here. Today guys, what we're going to go over is some basic leg lock defence, late stage leg lock defence for people who are newer to leg locks. Okay, so this is for the guys who are getting heel hooked in the gym and they just don't know where to begin with the heel hook defence. I think what puts a lot of people off is they know that leg locks can be very damaging. If you get injured in a leg lock, you're out for several months at a time, and that can put people off. So this is supposed to be a quick how-to guide to keep yourself safe when you're beginning that leg lock journey. The best tip I can give you in terms of leg lock defence is to find good training partners. That is the number one tip I can give you. If you get someone who, as soon as they lock up that heel hook, are going to pull as hard as they can and genuinely try to hurt you, it's bad for both partners, okay? Because if someone has me in a heel hook and they rip it as hard as they can, I don't care how technically perfect that heel hook is, I'm going to tap. I don't care, because I'm not going to wait until my knee pops before I decide if I'm able to get out or not. Okay, the best thing you can do, if I borrow George just now, let's say we're in like a basic leg lock position, like the saddle. If I get George here and George knows that I'm a dickhead, and every time I get here I'm going to rip it as hard as I can, regardless of how good or technically perfect this heel hook is, George is going to tap. Okay. However, if George knows me and my friends and he knows that I'm going to give him time to work, he's going to take the time to try and slip the heel, try and defend the leg, and he's going to try and do everything correctly. This is good for both of us. So even if I'm a selfish training partner, it's in my interest to give George some time to work this out. Okay. It lets me see the kind of defensive reactions that I might run into in competition, and if he's successful in his defense, it allows us to break it down after the roll. Hey George, how did you get out of that heel hook? And then we can discuss it, and like I can get back on YouTube, back in instructional, and try and find out how to stop him doing that again. And that's how you'll get technically better. Okay guys? So my biggest tip I can give you before we start looking at techniques and concepts is find training partners who are willing to hold this and give you a chance to get out. Okay. The amount of time you spend here is up to you. Obviously, the longer I can hold George here whilst he's desperately trying to get out, the better my heel hook control is. And the better my heel hook control is, the more likely I am to get a tap. I'll typically go for about 10 seconds in the gym, because I feel like if I can hold someone here for 10 whilst they try and get out, then I definitely could have broken their leg, right? But you could make it as short as 3 seconds. Okay, so if I dig the heel, instead of just trying to rip it, I'm giving George 3 seconds. 1, 2, 3. Okay, we can safely say I probably could have broken that if I wanted to. Okay. If he gets out in that first 3 seconds, that informs me that my heel hooks aren't as good as I thought they were, and I need to go back to the drawing board. Okay. Okay guys, so the next thing I want to quickly talk about is, I think this is what puts people off at the start. It's the concept of, if I have George in a heel hook, he can break his own leg far more effectively than I could ever break his leg. And I think that is what puts people off a lot of the time. So if I have, again, I'll just use the example of the saddle, but this could be really any heel hook. If I have George in a heel hook and I 100% was to try and finish this, let's say it's ADCC finals, and I'm giving it everything I've got, the breaking pressure I have is really like how strongly I can thrust my hips forward. So this is the ultimate breaking power I can really give George. Okay. Obviously that is more than enough to cause terrible damage. You know, if you watch Craig Jones against Vinny Magalhaes, the shin bone was split in half, I think the knee was wrecked too. Like, I can cause a lot of damage this way. But it doesn't compare to the damage that George could inflict on himself if he spins the wrong way at any kind of speed or any kind of aggression. If I'm in a heel hook and I also spin the wrong way, like, this is how bad it could be. You know, with that amount of force, you can completely wreck your own leg. With that in mind, I think that is what people find daunting when they're starting leg locks. So that's going to lead us nicely into our first concept for beginners. Okay, the first concept for beginners that I want to cover is only spin if the guy does not have your heel cut. Okay, if I have the heel, if you're a beginner, I would personally advise you not to ever try and spin at all. Okay. Now, again, if you watch ADCC finals, or some really high level form of competition, you will see high level guys, they will try and spin a little bit. All I would say to that is those guys are the top of the top, and they are usually willing to let their knee pop a little bit if it means getting out. Some of them are willing to let their legs break completely, like the Mongolian guy against Mickey Musumeci. This instructional, or this video is really just meant for the guy who has a family at home and he wants to train the next day. Okay, so for me, if you're a beginner, if I'm here, don't spin at all. Okay, the rule I'm going to give you is if the guy has your heel, the only thing you care about is getting your foot or your heel back out of this lock. It's the only thing you care about. You want to slap, we can show you different things, but you want to get the heel out, okay? We're not going to try and spin either way. Because if my heel hook's good, like if I've got everything in perfect, if George tries to spin either way, he will be causing himself a little bit of damage, okay? So he's doing it nice and gently. You can imagine how bad it would be if he did it with any kind of purpose or aggression, you know? So, but the flip side to that, guys, if I do not have the heel, spinning is generally a very good thing to do, okay? Always make sure that you're spinning in a direction that is going to hide your heel from the person, okay? If George goes this way, I'm not saying it will never work, but he is very much exposing his heel to me, and I can start to catch the heel. And following our rule, as soon as I get that heel, George doesn't want to spin anymore, okay? So, that leads us on to the next point. A lot of the time, I travel around to gyms quite frequently, and I put people in leg locks, and there's one thing that very quickly tells me that they are inexperienced with heel hook defense. And what I mean by that is, if George has me in, let's say, the saddle again, no-gi, I don't know what belt they are, I've never met them, but I can tell very quickly who doesn't know what they're doing with heel hook defense. Because when they get the saddle or any other leg lock, the first thing they do is this. They start clawing at hands or clawing at the head, okay? There is really no reason to do this unless George has the heel, okay? So that's the big distinction I want you guys to make. He's got the heel, then yes, I want you to clamber up, get whatever you can, slip that heel, get the heel out. However, as soon as the heel's gone, all of this stuff is essentially just stalling. Yeah, you're not, the thing I always tell my beginners to do is like, they grab me like this, and I say, okay, hold these grips and try and get out. And the guys always go, I can't get out, okay? So if he doesn't have the heel, this is essentially pointless, okay? These hands could be much better served doing other defenses, such as putting your hands on the mat, spinning out, you could try pushing the leg down. Your hands and your arms are better served elsewhere, okay? But again, guys, keep that distinction in your head. If he gets my heel, the rules change. Now I want to try and use my hands as best I can to try and stop him, okay? But as soon as that heel pops out, clinging here is pointless. Let's take them out and look for other things that we'll cover later in the video. Okay guys, so let's assume that we have already had our heel caught. Something's went very wrong here and we are caught in a fully locked heel hook, okay? Now again, we're hoping that we have a good training partner who's going to give us a little bit of time to see if we can work this out, okay? If you do feel like the leg's starting to go, or if George's hips are starting to rise and come through the leg, just tap. Yeah, there's no point breaking your leg over a training rule, okay? However, if he's given you some time to work, going back to our previous concept, we are now, our only obsession just now is getting that heel out of that grip, okay? I'm not trying to spin just now, okay? I'm just going to use everything that's available to me to try and get that out of there, okay? So, what can I do? I can reach for what's available, okay? Like if I can go straight to the head, awesome. If not, I can start grabbing the elbow and I can start climbing the body, okay? From here, I'm going to give you two things you can try with your feet. The first one is going to be a basic heel slip. So just like with no hands or anything, the kind of basic concept I'm looking for is to point, like move the leg towards George, like kind of kicking in towards him, pointing your toes like a ballerina, toes going first, and slipping out, okay? So if George just goes a little bit tighter with that grip, I'll show how it would look more like in a match. I'd be like reaching, trying to come through and slip out of there, okay? As soon as that heel is out, we switch our mindset. Now we feel available or like ready to roll through, okay? But as long as that's there, especially if you're don't know, a guy with a job and kids, like, do not roll here, okay? So we come up, we can get whatever grips we can. I like the top of the head grip because to finish this heel hook, Josh has to thrust with his hips, and you notice how his head goes back when he does that. That's the thrusting motion. If I can kind of hold his arm and his head and he tries to thrust, I can at least slow him down a little bit. Probably won't be able to hold him here forever, but I can slow him down until I can slip my heel. Okay guys, so if I just show you with this leg so you can see it without someone, you imagine my heel is put here, I point the toes, I push into the person and I slip. So I point, slip. Okay. So this is generally the first thing that I will always try. If I've just been caught in a heel hook, I trust my partner not to break my leg in two, I'll try and slip straight away. Okay. All you're trying to do is slip the heel in towards the person, okay? You don't want it you don't want to be going this way because that's actually the direction that Josh wants to take your heel. If I go that way, I'm helping him out. Okay. Point through. Okay. The second thing you can try is if Josh brings his left elbow right into his ribcage, the closer that elbow goes to the ribcage, the tighter you'll feel. Yes, it's starting to become quite a dangerous heel hook. If he's very tight here and there's no space between his elbow and his ribs, you might find heel slips difficult to go for, especially if you haven't got sweaty yet and stuff like that. Like this can be quite a difficult thing. One more thing you can try is using your other foot to do what I just call it a toe poke. Okay, I want you to protect, like if this is my big toe, I want you to prod your opponent or George right in the shoulder. Okay, don't start kicking him like so because it tends to slip off and it's not particularly strong. Make your toe go like nice and long and like pointed and poke him in the shoulder. Okay, and a lot of the times that can help if the grip is very, very tight. So maybe I'm here, Josh has been nice to me, he's letting me work. The heel slip, for whatever reason, isn't working too well. I bring in the second foot, my toe goes right in the shoulder, and I do like a scissoring motion with my legs, so like back and forth. And I bring that out. And again, guys, we're in that mentality now of the heel's free, I'm cool to roll. Okay, there's not going to be anything bad happening to me if I roll when he doesn't have the heel. Okay, just very quickly, guys, I'm going to demonstrate that if Josh has an outside Ashi. So let's see, he's here. Just very quickly, because it is very, very similar. It's the same concepts, guys, okay? So I do want to slip this heel, and I want to turn the heel in towards him, which sometimes can feel counterintuitive for beginners. I want to come through, slip, and I'm out, okay? The only big difference here is with the toe poke. So if George takes like a very tight heel hook here, again, I would be chasing up and trying to get as many blocks in his body as I can, maybe the trap, the arms, the head, whatever I can grab. If you come round to the side, please, Luke. The only difference is, when I'm going for my toe poke, obviously it would be very difficult to bring my second leg over and try and kick here. I'm not saying it's impossible, it'd just be very difficult. So from here, for the toe poke and an outside Ashi, we actually go up the back. Okay, and we'll be looking to kick the elbow. So instead of trying to do something like this, which would be difficult, come here and then slip. Okay, so Josh goes again. He makes it nice and tight for me, brings that elbow really close to his rib cage. Okay, I feel like the heel slip isn't quite there. I can kind of push and scissor my legs and bring that out. Okay, so you change it a little bit in outside action. Okay guys, next concept. The way you apply this concept will be different based on the leg entanglement that you find yourself in. So if you want to be an elite leg lock defense expert, then you will need more than this video. I'm not going to make it a 100-hour long video where I go into the ins and outs of every leg lock position. However, this concept as a general concept can really help with your leg lock defense. Regardless of the leg lock I find myself in, guys, again, I'll just keep using the example of the saddle because it's very popular. Regardless of the leg entanglement I find myself in, the basic premise is that George is going to use his legs to place wedges near or on my hips. Okay, so the purpose of his legs is really to stop me from just getting up and walking away. It's very similar to like arm bars and stuff like that, just like any joint lock. So the purpose of the legs is typically to keep my hips on the floor, okay? So George wants to use his legs to wedge my hips to the floor, okay? So a general concept you can use in every leg lock is, if you're just here, maybe you've never seen the saddle before, you find yourself in it, a general concept to keep yourself correct, keep yourself right, is try to gain height if you can, and try to remove the feet or the legs from your hips. Okay, so I'll go through like a number of popular leg lock positions and show you how maybe the exact details are slightly different, but the general concept is the same. Okay, so for example, in the saddle, he's not got my heel, so I'm free to roll. What I want to do typically is hit the turnout escape, which is going to allow me to gain height, and then I can push. Like, there's different things I can do from here, but in general I will want the feet off my hips, and now I can either just run away and get out, or if you're more advanced, you can start looking for berimbolo counters. Okay. If we look at single leg X, or let's go outside action. Again guys, obviously a very different way of doing it, but the concept remains the same. I'm going to try and gain height, and then I'm going to take the feet off my hips, and I can look to again get out and pass, or you can start looking at bolo counters again. 50-50 would be pretty much exactly the same. Now again guys, the exact things I'm doing are obviously going to change every time George changes his leg entanglement, but the concept remains the same. What am I going to do here? Try and gain height. I'm going to try and get those feet off my hips, and again, the same thing as before. We can try and come through and pass, or again, we can look bolo counters, or we could look for a leg lock of our own if we start to get a little bit more advanced. Okay guys, so this, obviously you'll have to, if let's say someone in your gym just keeps tapping you from 50-50 constantly every day, that's obviously something you would have to work on. Go and find a good 50-50, like particular instructional. But if you find yourself in some kind of leg entanglement, say like, let's use 50-50, and I'm a beginner, new to leg locks, and I have no idea what 50-50 is, never seen 50-50 before. A good concept you can try, if you feel safe, if you feel like the guy hasn't got your heel, is, okay, I don't really know what I'm doing here, but Jack said, a good way to try and get out, I'll try and get up, and I'll try and get those feet off my hips. Okay, you can apply that to the saddle. Just the way you do it will be different. Okay, so for the saddle, you might find it difficult to come up because he's got this nice block here, but I can try and come up, gain height, get those feet off my hips and get out. And that'll be the same for pretty much every leg lock you'll encounter. Okay, George, if he wants to break my leg, he wants my butt on the floor, and he wants my foot off the floor. Okay, if your foot is on the floor, it is unheel hookable. Okay, and it's also straight ankle lock above if you like. So if I can get my feet on the floor, that's me gaining height, and then I can get the wedges off my hips. That's going to prevent him putting my butt back on the floor. Okay, something you can try if you are newer to leg locks and you just have no idea where to start. Alright guys, just a quick bonus technique or bonus concept if you like for the end of the video, because this video was mainly centered around heel hooks, but I really like this concept for straight ankle locks. It's helped me a lot keeping myself safe in ankle locks, which I suppose you're more likely to encounter as a white belt than heel hooks. Okay. What really helped me was understanding that if Josh has me in a straight ankle lock and he wants to finish me, there's a certain thing he needs, and that's going to be, he needs both of his knees, my knee and his head, all pointing in the same direction. Okay, if any of these four things do not point in the same direction as the others, it's very, very difficult to ankle lock me. I won't say it will never happen, but it's very, very difficult. Okay, so if I'm able to, like, even just very basic, if I'm even able to lift this knee up, and Josh tries as hard as he can to ankle lock me, as hard as he can, go, go, go. There's nothing there, okay? It's very hard for him to push off and bring his hips through. Because I've moved this knee, if you see like the direction of his hip thrust is, it's over here somewhere, okay? What he wants is a nice clamp with his legs, Now the direction of force is going right into my ankle, and that's going to get a tap. Okay guys? So, again, I'm not going to go into the very specifics because this video would just end up being 100 hours long. But a good concept, if you're getting ankle locked, make one of these things face a separate direction, a different direction from the others. Okay. Now obviously it'll be reasonably difficult to grab the head, especially with George because he's 8 foot tall. But if you can, even that is going to stop him. Okay, it's not going to get you out, but it's going to ensure that your leg doesn't break. Okay, I'd say like the two most common ones you encounter is if you can open this up, that's going to kill the ankle lock. Or if you feel there's not enough tightness in the lock and you can turn, again, that would kill the ankle lock. But just watch out guys, the more I turn this way, the more likely it sits back for that heel hook. Okay, but you know how to keep yourself safe there too. Okay. And again guys, if I'm trying to get out of this leg entanglement, I'm looking to get the feet off my hip and I'm looking to try and gain height. So really common defense would be to push this off, come up, and I can try to come up. Okay, a foot on the floor is a safe foot. Okay, I can't get heel hooked here, I can't get foot locked. George's job will be to use his legs to somehow either put me in my butt or just lift me up enough that he can then start to attack the foot. Okay, but if I've got weight through that foot and Josh tries to ankle lock it, like, he will be there all day. Okay, but just be careful that, like, you know, you're trying to stand up, but he's also trying to put you back down. And then you can go again. But following the concept, if he tries to finish me now, I can't do it. If I go here and he tries to straight foot lock me, not going to happen. Okay. Cool. Any questions, guys? Just leave them in the comments. I'll be back to you. Hopefully they help. Thanks very much.